My name is Andrea Newman. At my engagement party, my cousin Liliana Grant pretended to be drunk, secretly took an aphrodisiac, and tearfully begged me to lend her my fiancé, Chandler Lakin, for one night. I found Archer Martin for her, who had always been devoted to her. When Liliana woke up and discovered it wasn't Chandler in bed with her, she killed herself in shame and rage. Chandler didn't blame me for this and continued to treat me as before. I always felt guilty about Liliana, and after her death, I took care of her family with great devotion. However, on our wedding day, Chandler had me poisoned and thrown to beggars to be violated. Liliana suffered the same pain at Christmas, so use your vile body to atone for her. I was tortured to death on my wedding night, dying along with my unborn child. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to that night when Liliana cried and begged me to give her Chandler. At the engagement party, Liliana pretended to be drunk, took an aphrodisiac, and tearfully pleaded with me, "Andrea, please let Chandler save me, won't you?" She cried while tugging at my evening gown. "Andrea, I just need to borrow Chandler for one night. Please help me out, won't you?" I looked down at Liliana sobbing at my feet and sighed softly. "Liliana, Chandler and I are already engaged. If you do this, how will you ever get married in the future?" Chandler also frowned and scolded her. "I'm your sister's husband. Your behavior is truly disgusting." With that, he kicked Liliana away and pulled me along as he turned to leave. Looking at Liliana struggling in pain on the ground, I ultimately softened. I called Archer, who had always admired her. Liliana and Archer were already betrothed, and Archer was an upright man who would never spread word of this incident. Having him help was the most appropriate choice under the circumstances. However, when she woke up and found Archer beside her, she broke down crying on the spot. She pointed at me and cursed that I had ruined her life, then resolutely killed herself. This incident became a shadow I could never shake from my heart. I always believed I was the one who caused her death. After she died, I devoted myself to caring for her family. Chandler was considerate of my efforts and often accompanied me to look after them. But on my wedding night, he actually brought several beggars to violate me to death. I desperately begged him to spare me, but he looked at me with disgust. "If it weren't for you, I could have been with Liliana long ago. This is all your fault." Liliana suffered the same pain at Christmas. She's dead, so use your life to atone for her. It turned out that before getting engaged to me, he had already been having an affair with Liliana. I learned from Liliana's diary that she gave him that she was his first love, but he didn't know that the diary recorded everything about me bit by bit. Liliana had been jealous of my background since childhood and imitated me almost obsessively. From clothing style to speech and mannerisms, she even copied my diary entries word for word. She thought that by imitating everything about me, she could take my place. In my previous life, I repeatedly gave in because she was my cousin and ultimately lost my life. In this life, I decided to fulfill their wishes because I had more important things to do. When the familiar plot unfolded again, I left early under the pretense of changing my dress, leaving the stage entirely to Liliana. Sure enough, just like in my previous life, she pretended to be drunk and accidentally took an aphrodisiac. Then she pushed Archer away and searched everywhere for Chandler and me. Unable to find me, she could only kneel on the ground and beg Chandler, "Please save me, won't you? If you don't save me, I'll die." She used life and death to pressure Chandler. A flash of disgust crossed Chandler's face. However, a servant came to report to me in a low voice. Mr. Lakin said he had business and left early. Looking at myself in the mirror, images of my tragic death in my previous life flashed through my mind, making me shudder. Fortunately, I was reborn. In this life, I would personally send them both to hell. I instructed, "Go ask Mr. Martin to come. Tell him I'm very worried about Liliana and would like him to help search for her." After the servant left, I began making a show of searching for Chandler everywhere. Wherever I went, I anxiously asked, "Have you seen my fiancé and my cousin?" Soon, all the guests at the engagement party knew that Chandler and Liliana had disappeared together. Archer was also extremely anxious when he heard, "Liliana is a young lady. If word of this gets out, it will greatly damage her reputation." He immediately ordered his men, "Find Liliana as quickly as possible." Everyone scattered to search, practically turning the entire mansion upside down. Only Chandler's and my bridal chamber remained unchecked. Everyone stood hesitantly at the door, caught in a dilemma. Just then, I ran over anxiously. "Have you found Liliana and Chandler?" Everyone remained silent. A servant said, "We've searched all the other rooms. Only this one is left." Before he could finish, I pushed the door open forcefully. "Chandler, Liliana, are you in there?" The next second, a woman's scream and a man's angry roar came from inside the room. I stood in the doorway in shock, while everyone behind me witnessed the scene with their own eyes. Chandler was actually sleeping with my cousin, Liliana, at our engagement party. I looked at Chandler with a pale face. "You!" Before I could finish speaking, everything went black and I fainted. Archer quickly caught me, glaring at Chandler. "Your family must give us an explanation for this, or else." He didn't continue, but everyone understood his meaning. The Martin family was currently at the height of their power. Even though Archer was only the second son, he wasn't someone just anyone could casually humiliate. Archer helped me leave the scene.